In today's episode, we're exploring ways to use picture books to support early learning standards in the classroom. And we're joined by a very special guest. This guest has more than 40 years of experience working with young children as both a teacher and administrator. She's recorded more than 100 songs for children, and 4 of those songs have been incorporated into picture books, which she's written and illustrated. Her latest book about butterflies, Mighty Wings, seeks to educate and entertain through song and beautiful mixed media illustrations. When she's not singing, writing, or creating art, she enjoys meeting teachers at educational conferences or visiting schools for author visits. It's none other than Debbie Clement from Rainbows Within Reach. So, Debbie, welcome to the show.
I'm excited.
We
Thank you, Vanessa. I really am excited to be here with you. It's been a long time since we've been together.
Yes. Debbie and I used to spend time at the Frog Street Splash Conference every year in Dallas, Texas. So I'm excited to reconnect in this way. And you don't seem to ever age, Debbie. You always look so lovely. You never change. You are just and so I don't know what the word is, effervescent. That's
Yeah, that's it. That's the word. Let's stick with effervescent.
But I'm thrilled to talk to you because you have a brand new project that you're working on. And tell us, it's a book and a song. Tell us what inspired you to write this fabulous book. Tell us about it.
Well, this really is my love now, obviously my passion. It's called Mighty Wings, and it is a book. It's a traditional. I love when people say, "Oh, it's a real book." Like, you can open the pages and it's so shiny. I hope you get a sense of how shiny it is. And how did it all start? This is truly a pandemic passion project. My adult daughter came to visit us during the very beginning of the pandemic and brought me some monarch caterpillars and said, "Mom, you're going to get so excited about this." And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be excited about having caterpillars in the kitchen. And she said, just wait, just wait. And before we go any further, because it really has become something I'm so excited about. Look, this is show and tell.
Ooh.
If anybody's listening, Debbie Clement just brought out a potted milkweed plant with 4. Can you see them,
Yes,
Vanessa?
I certainly can. Yes.
Well, these happy creatures are going to turn into monarch butterflies. And this is like their last day,
Ooh.
probably today, of being caterpillars. They're in the 5th instar. I have learned so much about monarch butterflies. Turn into the letter J, which how cool is that for preschool? They literally. Okay, so how did it start? 2 years ago, at the beginning of the pandemic, I was doing some Facebook Live presentations, sort of like Mr. Rogers Sing Us a Song to the preschool kids. One of my, actually in Dallas, a preschool director said, we can't do what we used to do. Would you sing with us? And so I said, sure. And what was going to be one little broadcast turned into 150.
Wow.
And I had this little caterpillar puppet already. Now I had to paint some white stripes on him because he was really just black and yellow. But so here I was singing this, look at this caterpillar crawl along. I wish I had a caterpillar song. He has stripes, black, white, and yellow. He is such an interesting fellow. Look at the pattern on his back. He has stripes, yellow, white, and black. Well, and then, no kidding, I had a bigger. So I was just waiting for this to happen. And then he crawls on, eats for 10 to 14 days. He's getting so much bigger in so many ways. He hangs upside down. Now, my wrist isn't quite perfect at that, but they literally hang upside down like the letter J. And then what they do is they wiggle into a chrysalis. They wiggle out of their last skin. So I made this little happy chrysalis. And then the big ta-da! They really do become almost, you can literally see right through their chrysalis. And I don't know that many people know that unless you do it. And then ba-dum, out comes the monarch butterfly.
Wow.
So this is year something in the 40 some number of
Right.
years I've been working with young children, and the first 10 were at a preschool for kids with special needs. So I did all the art and all the music for the kids that had language delays and speech processing, disorders and autism, all the whole thing. And I learned that they were always more responsive, A, when there was music, and B, when I had a thing, a
Mhm.
puppet, a prop.
Yeah.
And so I had gotten that little caterpillar wrap, and I use that term very loosely as a grandma from Indiana. But I had written that little, along during the course of the pandemic, and I had finally gotten the monarch painted and sewed together. And I told my daughter, I'm going to do it on Facebook Live. And she's like, Mom, no, you can't do it. It needs to be a book. And
Oh.
that's it's not long enough for a book. I'm too old to do another book. Books are heavy. Books are heavy. I mean, they literally weigh a pound.
Wow.
And so, you cart them across the country in your
Right.
luggage. I mean, I have, with my husband, we often have 200 pounds worth of
Yes.
books because this is the fourth one. Well, she persisted and insisted and said, Mom, as much as we love Eric Carle and the Very Hungry Caterpillar, there's really obviously nothing about that that's
Right.
scientifically accurate. So let's do a no kidding, scientifically accurate STEM extravaganza. So that's what we have is a 32-page book. And look how technological I
Oh.
became. I know you knew this about me. Um, it has a QR code in the back of the book, so you can download the 2 pieces of music. So
Wow.
the book is actually divided into thirds, if you will. The first third is all about the caterpillar, and he crawls along, and there's our map of Mexico. Woo! We're going to talk about teaching to the standards, and maybe
Yeah.
Vanessa will bring that back. I know. And so then here's the caterpillars. So I think it would be best described as mixed
Yes.
media. It is a collage, definitely a collage. And so I've taken Sarah's pictures of her caterpillars and pictures of my caterpillars. And then, of course, they turn into the chrysalis, not a
Coon.
cocoon. Hallmark Channel just had a movie about feeling butterflies, and they said cocoon. Obviously, they did not consult with us about that, but they really get into a chrysalis. So there's some pieces and parts of fabric and embroidery, and each of my 3 grandkids has artwork in here.
Wow.
And Sarah has like watercolor doodles, and she does childcare for children in her home. And she had her 2 and 3-year-old kids. I wonder if I could find one where you might be able to see. Whoa, her littles, 2s and
Wow.
3s, did hand prints like with acrylic
Uh-huh.
paint between wrap, and then we could press it on. And so, like, the background behind those chrysalis are actually bits and pieces that the 2 and 3-year-old kids
Oh,
created,
nice.
plus my plus Sarah. And then, if I can tell you one more thing about the illustrations, because this is like the culmination of everything I've learned about kids and how they learn
Right.
and how we as teachers and parents can help that process. I wanted the pre-K non-readers, pre-readers, that'd be a much better term, to have, besides the type that is hieroglyphics and foreign to them, I wanted them to have a reason to stay longer on the page,
Mhm.
to stay longer in the book. And so each 2 pages of the book, children will find puzzle pieces
Mhm.
and ears, because I feel like we're all a part of the puzzle of this endangered. I mean, there are fewer and fewer, and I mean, they could go extinct in my
Wow.
lifetime. Uh, Monarchs, and that's a whole conversation. We have to have milkweed. Okay, so they can search for gears. We're all in this. When I plant milkweed. In Wisconsin or Florida or wherever I am on the trail, that adds one more gear to the whole process, and puzzle pieces, and there's a compass and a key, and the word hope is on every couple of
Oh,
pages. Woo! So that's the end of the first third. Then there's a call and response song, because I know how kids love call and response. So that first one is really me talking, a rap, if you will. But this is a sung song.
okay.
And I sing, my heart sings. And the kids respond, my heart sings, watching your mighty
Oh,
wings. And I sing,
nice.
watching your mighty wings. And so here again are all the bits and pieces, the compass and so forth. And so that's a song with 4 verses. And then it concludes. And then we get into the end matter. And this is all the things that beyond preschool kids can get
Oh.
excited about. And so here's a 2-page spread about the migration, where our monarchs start up in Canada. And I had 2 women contribute photographs from Canada. And then they come on down here through the United States. And here's a picture of them roosting. And I had that picture donated. And then they get to Mexico. And that really looks like what's happening right this minute. They're waking
Right.
up from their migration. So anyhow, we've got migration, and then there's a glossary and resources, and it ends with the music notation and that download. Yay! And it's about 5 weeks old right now
Wow.
today. And we did a Kickstarter, a crowd funding for the book and the music, 2 different projects. And it is now in 35 states. It went to West Virginia yesterday.
Wow.
And it's going to its first international. I had someone purchase it for their cousin that owns the Mariposa Resort
Ooh,
in the Belize. So it is literally migrating out and about.
nice.
So, music and then the book. I have 2 videos, one for each of those components, the rap and also for the song. And those are on YouTube, and those are free to everybody, this afternoon. And a song and video
Great.
and a book and all the resources.
Yeah.
So, what else can we talk about? How a teacher can implement through the standards. When we talk about teaching to the test, I created the book with the end result of how do we teach to the test. So, Vanessa, put on your thinking cap and tell them some of your first reactions and ideas.
Absolutely, Debbie. And we'll put the link below this video. If you're
Great.
watching along on YouTube, it'll be in the video description. And if you are following us or listening to us rather right now, then you can go over to the blog at Pre-K Pages, and we will make sure to include your book, Debbie, in one of our 50 book lists. We have a book about bugs and insects, and then one about spring. And I think it would go well in either one of those lists.
Absolutely. Earth Day's
Yes,
coming, it would be perfect. Oh, right this minute, as we're talking now, as it's only a few weeks old, it's only available at my own
got it.
website. It's self-published, and so I know you're going to include that too. Hopefully, by this summer, we will have grown up and flexed our muscles, and we'll be on Amazon. I have a number of Canadian people who would love to have a copy,
Right,
and right now it's prohibitively expensive to
right.
ship it that way.
Sure.
But coming soon,
Awesome.
hopefully it will be on Amazon. But right now, this spring, it's available through me on my website.
Fabulous. Now, one thing when you were talking earlier, Debbie, before we get to the standards part,
Okay.
those illustrations, first of all, are breathtaking. Well, I don't even, you call them mixed media, right?
Yes, that's what I'm calling it.
That's my scientific term that I've learned today. Um, but I
Okay.
really liked how they draw the children in because as I was looking at the illustrations, I really noticed the puzzle piece and I noticed the gears. And I thought, this is going to be great for those kids who love to like look for the detail, draw them into the
Right.
book. I really, really thought that was powerful because little kids do notice every little thing, right?
Right, absolutely. And so, again, from the very beginning, we wanted this to be the accurate words, terminology in terms of migration, in terms of metamorphosis, is introduced within the syntax of the lyrics. But also, like I say, to invite those kids, to feel like those items, which were
Mhm.
real gears and real watch parts and genuine pieces of, like I say, fabric and
Right.
thread. And one night we were just eating dinner and there was a curly little stem on the grapes at our on my dinner plate, and I was like, oh, how cute is that happy little thing? And so I just rubber cemented it
Nice.
right into the original illustration.
Wow.
And then, since we had a concept already of how this was going to
Right.
unfold, we had a professional photographer who was able to digitize it in a real,
Oh.
high
Oh, very cool.
each page.
Yeah.
Yes. And then a third person worked with us on the graphic design in terms of inserting the text
Ah,
into the
fabulous.
text.
And
Yes.
um, I was just thinking off the top of my head, if you read a book like this, in addition to all the wonderful things that children can learn about butterflies and about the process and about all those things that we're going to talk about soon, but wouldn't it be great to also incorporate some materials into the art center so they could then
That is like my dream come true. I mean, that is really my dream come true. So I know people probably don't know this about me because I've written these over 100 songs for young children. Music is not really my training and background. And I say that because the thing I love most is when teachers come up to me and say, "Oh, I sing your songs all the time. They're so simple. Even I can sing them." Well, that comes again from those years ago with the kids with special needs. But my actual degree is in
right,
art. And so here I am, a bazillion lifetimes later, actually putting to use
right.
the training I had back in college in the old days of rubber cement. So,
Right. Yes. You are infinitely talented in creating things. I know you do sewing, you do yeah, like the clothing and the little butterfly that you made and the little caterpillar and chrysalis and all that. So I think that's really
Vanessa, I have to show
oh
you.
my.
Look at this. This is going to be my when I get to be an author in the school.
Oh,
So the dress I'm wearing is for wearing to church and starting conversations, but this one has, oh, I don't know, somewhere maybe like a couple hundred buttons or 500 or who knows, but and the
wow.
word hope is there. And I painted, I don't think I can get it tall enough. I painted the bottom to have a
Oh,
caterpillar.
yes, you did. Look at that.
I did. There we go. There we go. So those were little round wooden circles, and I painted them to represent the caterpillar at the bottom. I've always been a little bit of something of a busy box in terms of if I can get the kids, closer to me and literally touching
Right,
again a child that may have language delays
right,
or a blind child or whoever it might
right.
be. That they have a sense of participation.
Wow,
So
that was amazing, Debbie. That's very, very talented. It must have taken you a great deal of time and effort to create that beautiful
well, the time between when the book was being printed and the time that the book physically arrived to me seemed like an inordinate amount of
sure.
time. And I had that black T-shirt, and I thought, well, I'll paint a butterfly on there, and the books didn't come, and the books didn't come, and so I had time, and you saw how it ended up.
Wow,
So
it's gorgeous. For those of you who are listening, it's a beautiful, beautiful dress with buttons and a painting on it of a monarch. And the buttons were flowers, right? They were growing, and yeah,
Flowers, right,
just
right.
absolutely amazing, just gorgeous. It must weigh a lot though.
Does. It does. And you know what? Right now, like I say, I'm in Florida, and just yesterday I got an invitation from our botanical garden
Ooh,
to present as part of a number of programs for children, and 5 events coming up
wow.
in warm Florida. So I'll be at the McKee Garden all throughout the Saturdays of April,
Oh,
and some other singing songy things. And it is heavy. A
yeah.
It makes a lot of noise when you walk around it, clitter, clink, clang, clink, clang. So I don't know. I may come up with a third alternative
A
to
Florida version,
in the
a Florida version, and then a Midwest version. Um,
there we go.
well, very beautiful.
Air conditioning at your
There you go. But beautiful illustrations. So, like we were talking about standards, so I was thinking, obviously, I was looking at some state standards. That's one of my um, little known hobbies, Debbie, is I look at all the pre-K state standards out there all the time just to see, keep current and all that. And a lot of them have this standard, and that is child describes life cycles of organisms. So, boom, there you go. Yeah.
Boom, there you go. Where are my friends? Here. They start off and they're those itty bitty teeny tiny eggs, and this is about 2 weeks later of eating only milkweed. And again, this is specific to monarch
Right.
butterflies. I've learned so much about them. And I had the great good fortune of having Dr. Karen Oberhauser, like our country's foremost authority. I saw her on a webinar, and lo and behold, she is at the University of Wisconsin, and
Uh,
we have a home in Wisconsin. And anyhow, we became email buddies, and I asked her if she'd be willing to review the lyrics before the recording because I really wanted her absolute,
oh, nice.
seal of approval. And she did, and she only had to change one little phrase. I had written for this little part, he weaves a
Uh-huh.
greenhouse called a chrysalis. Well, she wrote back and she said, there is no weaving. There are no houses. It's not weaving a house. And so she changed it to he wiggles out of his laskin into a green chrysalis.
Ah.
So Dr. Karen again worked from the very beginning to make sure that what I was sharing via those two songs was absolutely scientifically accurate. So that is very near and dear to my
Yes.
heart. There's been a lot of people that have been involved. She connected me to the photographer in Mexico who
Oh,
contributed the two photographs
wow.
that are in Mexico.
Very
So
cool.
a lot of important people have really been part of the background
Right.
of building, so that it's absolutely correct for 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. And then I've had some big kids, like the first and second graders have been excited about it too.
Yes, I
So
love that. I love that it's a collaborative effort. And when you were showing sometime in the front of the book, in the beginning third, I think it was, there was a little map, right? And then
yes,
in the
yes,
backside, in the ending third, there is information about Mexico and Canada and all that. There's a little map, and so I found
right,
a standard that occurs in many
right.
different state pre-K standards, and that is Child Explores Geography Tools and Resources. And one of the examples that they gave was uses yarn to connect countries of origin to the school on a map. Wow.
Wow! And looky here, unbeknownst to you, I know your copy hasn't arrived. Here's a photograph of children in Mexico, and they are part of a pen pal project called Symbolic Migration. And
Wow.
they actually have yarn that's connecting them to the other. Oh, wait, Debbie, where is the? Oh, there. Can you see the
Yeah,
kiddos yet?
sure.
They're under my finger. There they are. And so that very idea of connecting. And so Journey North does that to connect preschool or kindergarten, whatever age
Mhm.
classroom, and they send artwork of the monarchs to each other like a pen pal
Oh, that's
exchange.
cool. Yeah, I can totally see a teacher in the classroom, showing her kids on the globe where they are or a map.
Right.
And my nephew, he's 5, he loves to do that. He always asks, "Where is this? Like, where do I live?" Right? And so
Yes.
his parents show him,
Right.
and then he wants to know where does he live on the globe, and then they show him, and then he's like, "Oh, I know. She's over there." He always points to the right because I live on the East Coast now.
Okay.
And but anyway, I think that would be really powerful for young children to kind of give them an introduction to where we are in the world and how we
And
connect.
you know what I mean boggles my mind is that these little caterpillars creeping along. Now our Florida caterpillars kind of just stay in Florida. They don't migrate. They have homes here. They're
Right,
happy
right.
here year round. But for the great bulk of the United States and then on all the way up to Canada, they travel. It takes 5 generations. This generation waking up right now that's been hibernating, if you will, gets up to about Texas and Oklahoma, and their children go further north and further north, and then finally on up to the northern part, and then it all turns around, and that last generation migrates all the way back to Mexico.
Fantastic.
And what amazes me, I know this is the simplest of all the simplest concepts, but when we think about our world and inclusivity and how we're trying to build bridges between cultures and so forth. Guess what? The monarch butterflies all look the same. You can't tell a monarch butterfly, a Canadian monarch butterfly, from one that eclosed and emerged in the middle of my backyard in Wisconsin, from one that is down in Texas or
Right.
wherever, and gets all the way to Mexico. And I just think that's the coolest little bit that this insect flies in some cases 3,000 miles,
Yeah.
and that, well, you can tag them. Did you know that,
Oh, teeny
Vanessa?
tiny little tags.
They're a teeny tiny little tag, and that's in the book. I had a person donate a picture of a monarch that she had raised and then tagged. That's a picture of how to tell them apart. But here's the picture that shows
Oh,
how you put a tag on them like a little license plate,
wow.
and you enter it into your computer. Little monarch number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 left my house in Wisconsin on October the 1st, and then they literally are able, then if that tag makes it to Mexico, then they can see, how long did it take, did it get there successfully, and so forth. So, and that's what we call citizen science. And how exciting to have 4 and 5-year-old kids really learn that this is possible, in our school
Yeah.
garden, if you will, and bring them into the classroom. And then look, I have one more show and tell. Bum, ba-da-dum, dun, dun, dun. You can be a Monarch School USA.
Wow.
It's the first entity to reach out to me and say, let's cooperate, and
Wow.
get your book into schools. And it's a real sign, like that's meant to last for the next 25 years, to have a school go through the process of planting milkweed and
Oh,
and learning about the habitat, and
that's pretty
then we need
cool.
to have native flowers, and it just goes on. And that, I mean, the monarch is like an ambassador. Once you get excited about, oh, mommy, look, there's a monarch in our yard. And then you realize that your caterpillars, in order to be healthy, have to be eating A, milkweed only, but B, milkweed that's never been sprayed,
Ah,
that's never
yes,
been
absolutely.
poisoned. And so then people start making the decision, well, what am I putting on my yard to keep it so green?
Right.
And that's the detriment of my pollinator garden. I mean, it probably starts with monarchs, but then you start to think, oh, well, what else could I have dill and parsley and start having swallowtails in my backyard?
Nice.
So it really is the gateway to making better decisions about our planet and our health and so forth.
Well,
canary in the mine.
I love it. Well, of course, one of the other standards that obviously the book promotes is phonological awareness skills, specifically rhyming. And we want to read books to young children often that rhyme. And so that's what I love about, the song that you have, as well as the rap and all of that. But then the collage art that I mentioned earlier, I found a bunch of standards around this.
Oh,
So,
oh, tell me more.
yeah, it says children demonstrate an interest in and show appreciation for the creative work of others. First of all, that's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
Then the teacher provides books and photographs that depict a variety of art media and artist styles. That just ticks that box
Ding,
right
ding, ding, ding,
there.
ding, ding.
Yeah. And then the teacher exposes children to different, these are like examples of what the teacher would do to support this.
Right. Yeah.
Exposes children to different examples of art, such as collages, paintings, mosaics, sculptures, etc. So
Okay.
perfect. And then the teacher allows children to use a variety of materials for individual creative pieces of art. That's the one.
Woo! Open-ended? Can it be open-ended?
Yes, exactly. So just providing the materials, like I could imagine if you came to do a school visit at my school and you were wearing all those buttons, wouldn't it be fun
Right.
to make sure that there were buttons in the art center that they could then
Yeah.
create something on their own with? I think that would be a great segue into introducing that
And
style.
a real, um, use of, I mean, some found
Yes.
pieces,
Yeah.
maybe some gears again, that would echo to the book. Some of the gears that are pictured are literally just available in a little package at Michael's Crafts or
Mhm.
Joanne Fabrics has some, that are similar. And so a teacher really literally could go shopping and come back with a little package of a couple dozen gears, and then again open ended. You could have a happy little pile of caterpillar photos, and or oh, in the back of the book. Oh, Vanessa, you're gonna absolutely love this. Now these are kindergarten kids, but that's where our preschool kids end up,
Right.
right? Kristen Poindexter knew knew that I was coming to her school, for an author visit before the book came out, and her kindergarten kids drew these absolutely amazing caterpillars for me, and I'm like, "Hold the presses! Quick, scoot those photographs up." I have children's art, and this
Yes.
one, at the top of the page are handprints from a teacher in Texas, and I
Wonderful.
found those on Instagram, and she gave me permission to include those in
Great.
the book. So there are some genuine, prompts for teachers who maybe don't think
Absolutely.
of themselves as arty. From That's what we want, is for the kids to have the opportunity to create their own response to
Yes.
any picture,
Yes.
whoever's that is. But mine, because of the multi many different pieces and parts and fun, and I can see a child, walking around after lunch and going, "Oh, here's a curly little thing." I'll just glue
Right.
that right
Yeah.
into the middle of my
Yeah.
piece, and it's legit.
Yeah, it sparks their creativity. I love that. So, Debbie, remind us again. I know you've told us already, but remind us one more time where people can go to either book you as an author visit. And I think you do those in
Yes,
person and virtually, right?
I do.
Okay.
I mean, it's been, a couple years
Wow.
since, but I've just had my first couple of in person returning to
Okay.
schools. The one I wore a mask the whole time. But yes, I would love to do that. I just did a well, I guess you would call it a Zoom, to
Oh,
Brazil,
wow.
and I've had one to India. So,
Great.
as long as we can figure out the time zones and the connection,
Sure.
that's an easy thing to do. And you'll
Great.
see this background, and here I'll be. But my
Yes.
website is Rainbows Within Reach, and I'm
Perfect.
sure she'll. for you at
Yes.
some point. You can see it visually, but rainbows is plural. All the rainbows. Rainbowswithinreach.com
Great.
is my website, and how to reach out as far as a
And they
school
can find the
visit.
book there too, right?
Yes, and that's where it's for sale. Yeah,
Okay.
you'll see butterflies and click right there, and it'll go straight to the purchasing
Perfect.
power.
Well, thank you so much, Debbie. It has been a pleasure, as always, to chat with you, listen to your wonderful creative ideas, and learn about your new project, all about butterflies. And I'm super excited because it's almost spring here, right? Any day now, right?
Anytime.
And it'll be a great book for kids to read. So until next time, I'm Vanessa 11th. This is Debbie Clement, and thank you for watching. Bye.
Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Yay!